I'm Jess.
And I'm Wes.
I'm Jess.
And I'm Wes.
I'm Jess.
And I'm Wes.
We are the National Wrestling Clipping Alliance. I'm Jess.
And I'm Wes.
And we are the National Wrestling Clipping Alliance, and you are watching the NWCA podcast. We are the only wrestling podcast out there that doesn't just talk wrestling history. We show history. Wes, what's up, buddy? Episode 11 now?
What?
11?
We're rocking it, baby.
Is it 11 now? I think
No,
so.
10. Episode 10.
10?
So your notes say anyways. But yeah, so yes, this has been an incredible journey so far. I don't even know what to say. For two people who have never met physically, we are rocking this dream of ours, and it's becoming so awesome. I absolutely love it. I'm so happy that Johnny's on board and he's helping us out, and you're doing a fantastic job of what you're doing. I'm just pulling up the old stuff from way back when on the Wayback Machine, and that's cool too. But yes, it's so exciting. Number 10, we're rocking it.
Yeah, episode 11. Tried to throw you off. No, episode 10. I just want to take a quick moment, Wes, before we jump into the huge NWO-based show. A couple things I want to mention is welcome all the new Facebook group members, because we have had probably across the board, probably a good 100.
Yep. We're up 11% over like 2 weeks.
And that's huge. I also want to welcome and thank all the new subscribers to our channel. Thank you. Thank you very much. We're at 60. And when we did our Brian Solomon episode, I think we were at 52.
Yep.
So, I mean, it just shows that we keep growing. So, again, thank you guys for all that. Thank you once again to Greektown Wrestling. If you haven't checked it out, we did a quick video on Greektown Wrestling. Wes, that was a pretty fun video to make. You got to end up watching me and Johnny's trip. What do you think?
That was so cool. You know what, Jesse, I grew up in Toronto, and to see the street signs, that was awesome. Who doesn't love the Don Valley Parkway, right?
Yeah, Don Valley parking lot, right?
Which is crazy, right? Because it's called a parkway, yet you drive on it and then you park your car on your driveway.
Yeah, it's pretty busy road for anybody not in Ontario.
Yeah.
So it was fun, and check that video out. We want to thank Adam Barna for the Schwab Wars. That's coming out, I think, next week, where Wes and I talk the NWA champions and we do a little tournament. It was really fun.
That was so fun and so great to be invited. I really appreciated that, and I'm looking forward to going back on the Schwab Wars again.
Oh yeah, with your old buddy Old School there too.
Yeah, it was nice reconnecting with Jim and jibber jabbering about old school stuff. Stuff we couldn't remember.
Oh my God, man. I could talk to you guys about shoestrings and stories, and I'm telling you. So yeah, that episode's coming out. So watch out for me and Wes to appear on that. Another thing, Mr. Brian Solomon, our most successful episode to date, his book is now out. I did get my own copy.
Nice.
I know, right? It's brand new. He signed it for me, right? Mailed to me personally. So I really appreciate it. I got my copy in my hand. You can get your copy now. It's available if you can find it, because Amazon ran out apparently. But very successful, and we have an episode with Brian, and we talk about his book, and we talk about multiple subjects with the Wildman and the Sheik working in Toronto. So, hey, check that episode out. If you have the book and you like the book, you'll love our episode. Wes?
The episode was so much fun. It was just a great treat to go down memory lane with Brian, and especially a guy who's not that old. So, I mean, he was... To do the research on the book, he had to get right into it. He had to put himself in a different mindset altogether. So we connected really well, and I really enjoyed talking with him.
Yeah, I agree. Before we can jump into one more thing, Wes, I wanted to bring up friend of the show's book, Ron Hutchinson.
Yes.
Ron Hutchinson's book was phenomenal. I loved it. To really learn about Edge, Christian, Trish Stratus, Gail Kim, all these people that like I grew up watching, to know their beginning roots started, and you can learn all about it in Ron's book. So I just wanted to pull that book out today because I did finish it, and it's amazing that how much impact Ron Hutchinson has put on my life in professional wrestling, not just with the wrestlers I named, but I do remember the CNE wrestling back in the early 2000s. That was my favorite part of the CNE and the exhibition. And I was at Heavy TO when he had his crew down there at the Downsview Park in the book when he talked about Heavy TO, the Heavy Metal Festival. I was there both days, watched wrestling both days. So it's amazing.
Great book, great guy, and for the Ontario people and friends here, great guy in Toronto, Canada. Yeah, the book, I whipped through it so fast. I learned so much. You know, you think you know. I'm not saying you know everything, but you think you know a lot. And I was clueless on some of this stuff, and it was so interesting to read his perspective on both his wrestling career, but more importantly on his training career, which has turned out to be a marvelous part of his life. And he's now involved heavily with the Cauliflower Alley Club, which is something near and dear to us that we are going to be in the future joining and becoming part of in whatever capacity we can.
That's right. It's amazing now that when I go to wrestling events and people see us, and they're, like yesterday I was in the gym. I didn't even tell you this yet.
Okay.
And I had a Rock t-shirt on, just an old Rock jersey.
Like Rock and Roll or Rock the Wrestler?
Oh, this guy's going to get a super kick, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you. No, but Isaiah Bronson and I had a quick talk, and he loved the shirt so much. He offered me all this money for it. I said, dude, if it really means that much to you, just go get me a shirt that I can go home in.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. And then he recognized our group, the Ontario Wrestling Clippings Alliance, right? The Ontario Clippings.
Yep.
And he appreciated the work that we do. So we're getting recognition now, too. And it just means the world to me. So I didn't tell you that story.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyways, yay. Everybody, we did have a contest going on. Wes, you want to talk about the contest you were holding?
Sure.
It's over. It's over now.
Yeah, we wanted to get up to as many subscribers as possible because we want to move forward. We want to be more professional.
That's right.
Want to be top dog, professional microphones, headphones. Not that this is the best we can do right now. And if we had the money to do it, we would have done it already, but we don't. So we need subscribers to help us build the following and build our image and build our brand so that we can move forward and get better guests and do better topics. So yeah, we had a contest, and we're going to be notifying everybody about the winner probably within the week after we get dig down and get all the research out. So we're going to be I'm going to be sending the winner some really cool old school swag, some Toronto wrestling history booklets from back in the 80s, and I found some awesome magazines that I can part with to send them out. So we're going to be giving someone a really nice package.
Yep.
Just for subscribing.
That's right. So, hey, we do this kind of stuff. If you believe in us, then we'll put the faith back in you. We are about sharing and keeping it alive, baby. So hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Share with your friends. Do all that fun stuff. But speaking of fun stuff, we have a huge show today. We are doing the NWO New World Order.
Give me a headache.
Oh, come on, Wes. I got him out here. New World Order.
So
yes, the
Jesse,
NWO.
I
call the. What's that?
I was corrected on Facebook the other day on one of our pages.
Oh,
did you
God.
see that?
Yes.
Someone said I put some great episode coming up on NWO, and I spelt it NWO. And they said, no, Wes, you made a mistake. It's
capital
WO.
That's
And I was like,
right.
"Oh, okay, I forgot."
Yeah, or you just didn't watch. But we're gonna find that out. But we're not gonna talk about because the NWO has been covered so many times, and you and me, like what you and I love to do is put our own spin on everything.
Yes.
So we are going to talk about the three specific moments: the Scott Hall debut, the Kevin Nash debut, and the Bash at the Beach, all 1996. This was a requested episode multiple times. It was
Yep.
on our signature sign. We've had Steve Pawson, he's a subscriber, messages me all the time, supports us. He begged us to do NWO. So, you know, like it's time. We're doing NWO. Scott Hall recently passed away. So it's only fitting for us to all just, you know, look at this time because in history, NWO is probably one of the biggest factions of all time.
I think that it started the change of uh, just a different outside of the promotion kind of thing. Guys we're standing over here and we don't care.
Yeah.
And as a casual watcher, everyone was going like, "Oh my god, what's going on? They can't do that. What? Who's? How can they fight each other?" Like, and it was such a turmoil,
That's right.
but brilliant way to change the look at that time, right?
Mm-hmm. And what we're going to focus on today, so WrestleMania 3, we focused on our episode there that's available on the channel. We focused on Andre Hogan outside WWE prior to WrestleMania 3, and we pretty much, you know, proved exactly what Pat LaProde's book proved too.
Yes.
And Bertrand Hubert, sorry. Um, for our WrestleMania 18 episode, since it was kind of relatively only 20 years ago, we kind of went down the family trees.
Yes.
And who trained who, which was kind of cool for people to understand. Today, what we want to focus on is that this isn't the first time big names have jumped company to company. This has been happening for centuries. If you go back, so Hogan jumped from the AWA to the WWF to the AWA to the WWF to the WCW,
Yeah.
to back to the WWE. You know, from Macho Man joined Hulk Hogan in WCW in December of 1994. So, you know what I mean? Already in the late 90s, people were jumping to the other competition. For modern wrestling fans, Wes, you may know some of these names, but you know the company AEW I talked to you about.
Yep.
A lot of guys from WWE that were recently there jumped ship to go there because they were either fired or released. John Moxley, Sting, Chris Jericho,
Yep.
like Rusev, who like there's so many guys. FTR were there, you know what I mean? And they jumped ship. Sergeant Slaughter jumped ship. You know what I mean? Cody Rhodes was an executive vice president for AEW and started the company, and he jumped back to WWE just recently.
Mhm.
So it was at the time it was a big deal, but I want to make sure that everybody knows that this has been going on for a long time.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of times back in the 50s and 60s, the guys would be not told by the promoter, but they would be suggested that it's time to sort of move on. You're getting stale. You still have drawing power, but you've done everything here, so it's time to maybe go to California, or I've hooked you up with Texas, or I've hooked you up with Florida. And the guy, we're not going to call it jumping, but it was. The guys were all self-employed, not like today's guys where they're fighting for contracts and stuff, right? But they were all self-employed. They had to keep money coming in to feed their families and keep their names as high on the card as possible. So a lot of guys would leave an area for 6 months or leave an area for a few months, maybe a loser leave town match, and then maybe come back and maybe never come back because they hit it big at the next place they went to. A perfect example is Bobby Heenan leaving the WWA where he first started, and he was trained basically, and he went to the AWA where he became basically a superstar. And then, you know, you would never think that back in my day, watching him on the AWA, that he could get any bigger. And obviously, everyone knows how ridiculously famous he became by going to the WWF. So some of these guys, they they had them, we'll call it jump, because they had to jump to keep their name up, or to look forward to a better payday or something, anything. And these guys that you mentioned, some of these chaps, like these guys were big stars. And in the contract era, while you're still self-employed, you still have to look out for yourself. Who wouldn't, right?
Mm-hmm. And Vince McMahon was cleaning up every territory. From my understanding, like Ted DiBiase jumped to New York. You know what I mean? Macho Man jumped to New York. And I will say jump because people were like, he literally bought the territories. And that's what he was doing. And
Macho Man's case, a perfect example of how someone left the family promotion, the ICW, which was running in opposition in Kentucky and Tennessee and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He was on the main. He was in the main event of every show on his family's promotion. But the chance of superstardom, who wouldn't pass it up, right? You had to. His dad, I bet, was absolutely pissed with him. But on the same note, we know now how famous he became. Just like Heenan coming here, to the WWE, right?
Exactly. Business is business.
Yeah.
Okay, let's set the scene here, buddy, because there's a lot of things. Because this was a very interesting time. The 90s, man, the Attitude Era, the birth of it. So we're literally talking about like the birth of the Monday Night Wars, in my opinion, and we're going to cover a lot today. But before anything, Wes, I want to know, where are you with your fandom, wrestling fandom in the 1996?
Yeah.
Not there? No, not even with Terry? Terry Dart didn't tell you what was going on or anything like that?
We were watching, maybe we were watching ECW, maybe videotapes. We were probably watching videotapes of other promotions.
Oh yeah.
I just was this whole spectrum of what was going on was. I'm not saying it wasn't interesting, and I'm not saying I'm not learning stuff now, and I'm not saying the stuff I've watched that you keep sending me is so interesting, because yes, it's rekindling what I missed, but they're just not there. And I feel bad, because we're supposed to be talking about wrestling, but that's why we have you. That's why we have me. So
well, that's a perfect example of our age difference, right?
Yeah.
And we keep saying it with our sign, like we keep looking at our sign, saying like, man, it's picking topics. Like some people are going to hate the topics we do. Not everyone's going to like what we do today, because they don't care about the 90s.
Yeah.
But not everyone's going to care when we cover the 70s next week, anyways.
Yeah.
So it's just, hey, this is a perfect example, because today this is my hype of the fandom.
Of course.
Of course. Like 96 is like my dad's bringing home VHS tapes monthly. I'm Monday Night Raw, hype of fandom. We are going to talk about 5 specific people today. Well, 6 really, but we're going to start with the Click. You know the Click? Have you ever heard the Click?
I've heard of it, yes.
Okay, so the Click is a legit thing. It's Razor Ramon, Diesel, Shawn Michaels, X-Pac, 1-2-3 Kid, and Triple H. So legit, backstage and on screen, they were the Click, right? The Click. That's why they always did that, right? Always. But I want to cover who everybody was. So Razor Ramon, Scott Hall, he was in the AWA.
Yeah.
Right? He was, correct me if I'm wrong, tag champs with Kurt Hennig in the AWA? Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I don't really study AWA, not going to lie. Shawn Michaels worked the territories. He worked in World Class, Mid-South, and then finally met up with Marty Jannetty. And, well, as the joke still stands today, Wes, there's always a Marty Jannetty in a tag team, buddy.
That's right. And he's been a piece of work on the last couple of months online. I like them. They were great when they were a young, unbeatable tag team. Vern created his version of the Rock and Roll Express, and they were good. Jannetty was fine. There's nothing wrong with Jannetty. He paid his dues in Kansas City and stuff. He was fine. Sean, yeah, just had something in him, burning desire to do more, do better, and good for him. I hate him, but good for him. You know, you're not going to knock talent.
No. Yeah. Did you ever see before we go Kurt Hennig and Scott Hall as tag champs?
Just on TV.
Yeah, well, no, that's what I meant on TV.
They'd broken up before AWA started coming to Toronto, which was 79 or something. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm just interesting to know. Diesel, which is Kevin Nash, Vinny Vegas, WCW, or the Great Oz in Vegas. He was a part of a tag team, Mega Steel, I think, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, so we just want to clear that up. X-Pac, aka 123 Kid, he became 6 in WCW. He was my favorite member of D-Generation X. DX, I said. Bro, don't make me do it.
He was so I liked him, but he was just beside these guys. He looked like hell. I mean,
yeah, but like look at the guys he was with. Come on.
He should have been the pinning joke of every match with them. But yeah, he did have.
You are so funny, bud. Then you got Triple H, Mr. Terrorizing in WCW, and that's where they all got him, actually. One thing, so those are the main guys, and I want everybody to know, like, you have to talk about this because 2 of these guys literally left to go to WCW. Wes, cool little fun fact for you guys. The 123 Kid is the one who broke Razor Ramon's undefeated streak.
Okay.
He did a moonsault, pinned him on Raw. So 123, right? And that's how he became popular. He beat Razor Ramon's undefeated streak.
Wow, that's impressive because it's a big difference in those 2 guys.
Yeah, Wolfpack, baby. Right? The click, click, click. That's what British Bulldog apparently used to do. Click, 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 click. Backstage to them all the time. Monday night Nitro. Now this is a huge moment in time because the first time Vince McMahon had a competitor pretty much since he bought everybody out. September of 1995. Bischoff said to Turner, if you want to compete with Vince, we got to go live Monday night. Boom. It happened. On December of 1995, Medusa threw the WWF Women's Championship in the trash on live TV. We're going to read all about that in Greg Oliver's book that he's writing right now on Medusa, I'm sure. But in my opinion, this is why the screw job happened. You can't have your titles being shown on other people's television.
That's right. And so rightfully so. Again, you know, we may not like what Vince McMahon has turned this into, but like any other promoter that's ever tried to make a stab at promoting professional wrestling in the past, they're businessmen.
That's right.
You know, McDonald's could care less if Burger King throws something in the garbage, but like, yeah, they don't want Burger King throwing McDonald's back in the garbage on a commercial or something, right? So it was a big deal.
May 19th, 1996, 2 significant moments one huge moment. We have the first WCW Slamboree.
Okay.
Sting versus the Giant. Now, if you notice on the clip in there, you got Lex Luger, the Road Warriors, Sting before he was the Crow.
Yeah, well, I like Sting. I always like Sting. I've seen him live about 3 or 4 times. He was good, very good. I liked it a lot.
I'm actually not surprised by that, to be honest. Like, because Sting and Flair, right?
Well, and he progressed so much from when we first saw him with UWF with Cowboy Bill Watts.
Yeah,
he was pretty terrible. All he could do was basically hip toss, some sort of a drop kick, and punch and kick. But he came along a long way and really popular too as a babyface.
Oh yeah. Wes, when I told you that there was 2 significant moments, so that was the WCW night.
Yeah.
But on the WWF night, at Madison Square Garden on a house show, the famous curtain call. Now, I sent you a video of this.
Yes.
And it was, I think, your first time seeing it.
Yeah.
What did you think of them breaking character in Madison Square Garden and hugging it out after a match?
It didn't bother me too much because knowing what I know now, okay, guess what? There's some camaraderie here in this sport, even in the 90s or the whatever 70s, 60s. There was camaraderie. There was people who liked being with each other. They liked, seeing them on the territories and stuff like that. But, and that's a big but, birth of the butts. Yeah, this is against all the rules. I mean, even though the rules are getting broken now, and by this time frame, people were seeing behind the curtain a lot more all the time. But this was just, I don't know if it was bad. I'm not going to say they used the word bad. I think it was just friends doing what friends do and sort of not paying attention to what they should have been paying more attention to.
Yeah, what ended up being a harmless thing turned into a huge thing.
Yeah.
But what kills me is that everyone's like, oh, they exposed the business. They exposed the business. Here's a little fun fact, folks. Vince McMahon came out in public one day and said that it's sports entertainment because he didn't want to pay a building fee.
Yeah.
Let's bring up the John Stossel and Eddie Mansfield interview on television, where Eddie Mansfield exposed the whole business on TV.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that the New York wrestling scene died for about 15 years because in the 30s, someone tried to expose it.
Yeah.
So people have been trying to expose wrestling for centuries.
Forever, yeah.
Forever.
Vince had again, we're looking at, if you want to step back for a second, and I'm the Weinstein, but if you want to step back for a second and go, okay, I'm a businessman, I need to make money. It would be so different, Jesse, if Vince was an actual wrestler. And he was one of the, quote, guys that all the former wrestlers who ended up trying to be promoters, like Bill Watts and Eddie Graham in Florida and stuff, Vern Gagne and the AWA, Sheik in Detroit, guys who ran their promotion but put themselves on top. If Vince had put himself on top, it would have been a completely different story. But, Vince, he didn't want to pay the sports entertainment taxes or the taxes. He didn't want to pay the regulation fees for the different Pennsylvania Sports Athletic Association or whatever it was called, the New York one, that blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And I, at the time, believe me, at the time, it was like, oh my God, what's he doing? I can't believe it. We were freaking out. And excuse me, there's a few more words I'd throw in there because we figured it was the damnation of wrestling. The guy's a businessman, just a businessman. That's all, trying to save money. And in the long term, yeah, who's been successful?
Yeah. I mean, 50 years, right? So what can you say? But yeah, it's good to know though, and good to bring up that there was people before him. Here's a little fun thing, Wes. On May 26th, in your house, beware of the dog. We're gonna have to talk about this show one day. This event actually went off the air. In your house, beware of dog.
Okay.
So this pay-per-view is famous because it only had 2 matches on the pay-per-view.
Okay.
And then the power went out because of the severe thunderstorm.
Is that Undertaker and Yokozuna and British Bulldog and who? I couldn't see that.
Michaels.
Oh,
Shawn. Okay. Yeah, the main event was supposed to be Shawn, I think, versus Bulldog.
Yeah.
But like the power went out and they had to reschedule the show for 2 days later, which is kind of
and I do not remember that at all.
No?
No.
That doesn't
zip, zero, nada, nothing.
Yeah, well, it doesn't surprise me, but funny enough, that was the 2 days later, May 28th, that was the last day Ted DiBiase worked for WIF because he left to go to WCW. It's funny how things work out, eh?
I like Ted DiBiase.
Come on, bro. Who doesn't?
He was great as Ted. He was great as the $1 Million Man. Now, if you want to compare two guys, I thought Kurt Hennig was as boring as watching paint dry as a wrestler, but as Mr. Perfect, he was fantastic. But Ted DiBiase on both levels as a personal guy when he was with the UWF or when he was with the NWA, and then when he turned to the $1 Million Man, he was great still. What a great talent.
Oh, Wes is a fanboy for $1 Million Man.
Yeah.
You're such a mark, bro. We want to remind everybody that the NWCA podcast is sponsored by Grand River Tea. Grand River Tea is a Canadian company owned by a Canadian woman entrepreneur providing premium loose leaf teas. Now the listeners of our show can save 10% on every order by using the code NWCA at checkout on the Grand River Tea website. An exciting product that is featured by Grand River Tea is purple tea. Sold worldwide, it is a cross between, stop doing that, you're making me laugh. It is a cross between green and white tea. All the health benefits of green tea with only half, that's right, half the caffeine. Squeeze a couple of drops of lemon into your teacup and your tea turns purple. Of course, this tea is non-GMO, TSIN, forest, and fair trade certified. Again, use the code NWCA on the Grand River Tea website at checkout and save 10%.
And it's not Barney tea.
It's not Barney tea?
No, you know that purple monster that we used to push down the stairs?
First of all, I grew up with the purple monster. So remember, there's a bit of an age difference. Okay, it's time, Wes.
Barney.
Jesus.
Yeah.
We're getting into it. I know. Okay. It's the best theme music ever.
Whatever.
Eric Bischoff comes in and yeah.
I never liked him either.
You wouldn't like his other theme song that he came in WWE with. He came in and said, "I'm back and I'm better than ever."
I remember that. That's he's awful. I hate him. I hate him. I will not dislike his contributions to professional wrestling, the good things, but yeah, I hate him.
The first night we're going to talk about is Scott Hall's debut.
Okay.
Now it's interesting I wanted everybody to notice that Scott Hall in shoot interviews and everything, and I sent you this. He gave his 90 days notice. He wanted to stay with WWF. Vince didn't want to give him a raise. So again, family man has to make a business decision. So May 27th, 1996. Here you go.
Yes.
He came through the crowd. Bischoff is selling it on commentary. Get him out of here. What's he doing? And what? Yeah, exactly. Who's he? Get him out of here. What's he doing here? He's not allowed to be here. And then the famous promo. You know who I am. Why am I here? You wanted a war? You got one. So, were you a big Scott Hall fan or Razor Ramon fan? What do you? Nothing. You're
no,
like,
no,
who the hell is this guy?
I can't believe it was the same person.
Really?
Yeah, because he just did such a great job at Razor Ramon. I couldn't stand him either. I mean,
I couldn't stand him either.
But he was a great personality in the ring. He was fantastic. I mean, whether he was a face or a heel, he was the greatest arrogant piece of work that was in the ring at the time. I was watching at the time. Not much, but I was watching.
You were paying attention.
Razor Ramon was one of the reasons why I probably turned it off because I hated him so much. So he worked, right? It worked.
Well, that was his job, right?
Yeah.
To piss you off and not make you like you and all this kind of shite. Okay, we're going forward in time here. Sorry, I have everything marked in my book here with June 10th, 1996. Kevin Nash debuted.
Yes, hold it down. There you go.
Yep. Kevin Nash debuted June 10th, 1996. You know, this is where the big boys play, huh? We're not here to play. Yeah, sure there, bud. No, you can't deny it though, because the whole angle and the reality setting in, like, and you got to think like Lex Luger randomly showed up, Medusa randomly showed up. Now you have legit Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, who, if you remember the timeline, May 27th, Scott Hall debuted. May 19th is the curtain call. It was literally a week later.
Yeah. And you wouldn't think that jump would change wrestling history, but it did, right? And
definitely did.
By creating an entity, well, they didn't do it, but they were part of it, right?
That's
creating
right.
the entity of a new world order, like, and it just crazy.
And it was cool too because they used their real names. It wasn't characters. It was Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. It wasn't Diesel and Razor.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah. And they came in as the outsiders, and they had their baseball bats, and it was awesome. What else is kind of interesting is this little article here. McMahon's federal case is fruitless because McMahon tried to sue.
Okay.
Right? So because of the Diesel and Razor Ramon, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to read something here. It says, it took a federal judge to allow it to continue, but World Championship Wrestling's most potent storyline ever continues to approach its climax July 7th, which we're going to get to. Ever since WCW Executive Vice President Eric Bischoff devised his ingenious plan, of using Scott Hall, aka Razor Ramon, and Kevin Nash, aka Diesel, to engineer a hostile takeover of WCW, WWF owner Vince McMahon has tried everything in his power to defuse Bischoff's best scenario. Now, I'm not going to read any more. I'll show it again. Johnny will probably hold it up a little longer when we edit the show so everybody can take a look. But yeah, it was a big deal because Vince did try to sue. He also did something so stupid. Have I ever told you about the fake Diesel and the fake Razor?
I remember. Yeah, I remember.
Oh, well, there you go, right? So, I mean, you got to think, though, like, if you read the timeline, all this is happening in WCW. Yet, their whole shift is changing. Their ratings are going up. Yeah. Vince is going backwards. He's going down. The power went out at a pay-per-view. You know what I mean? Like, Scott Hall debuts at WCW, and you guys have a power outage. And then 2 days later, Ted DiBiase leaves to go to your competition. Give some perspective a little bit. Okay. The main event, Wes.
We got to look at how it was changing at the time, and what was morphing, and what was Vince thought his didn't stink, and when he created those fake guys, that was hot for like, I don't know what, a month, and then everyone was going, what the hell?
Yeah.
But this is the stupidest, because his and if you listen to Jim Cornette or many other podcast guys, they say the same thing. Vince didn't know nothing about any other wrestling. He knew his people knew of the wrestlers that were out there, but he didn't know anything other than his area. He just didn't know. So, with these guys leaving, I'm going to do anything I can to keep my business afloat. And as stupid as it sounds, it did work. That fake. That's so weird to say, fake Diesel and fake. Oh my God.
Because it wasn't them. Like, Vince tried to fool. Oh, well, I own the character. Anyone can be Diesel. Anyone can. No, it's not. You got yolk in the face, as the saying goes, right? You got egg in the face. We talked the curtain call earlier, and I'm going to show an event here. King of the Ring, 1996. Fans will know this for the famous Austin 316 promo.
Yep.
This is a significant night, West, because Triple H was scheduled to win that tournament, not Stone Cold.
Yes.
Triple H didn't win the tournament because of the curtain call, because it came down to, who am I going to punish for this? because the boys were furious, right? Stone Cold was pissed. Undertaker mad. Everyone was furious. And Vince is like, well, I have to do, like, sure, I gave you guys the go-ahead, but it turned into something I didn't think it would turn into.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? Shawn Michaels is the champion. Can't punish the champion.
Nope.
Right? X-Pac was in rehab or injured, so he wasn't even there, so you can't punish him. Kevin Nash and Scott Hall are on your competitor's show.
Yeah, they're gone.
They're gonzo. Right? So, I mean, and they throw shade at each other. You know what I mean? And when Triple H was scheduled to win this, he just had to eat dog food and the stuff that you make fun of all the time. Like, that was his punishment. He lost, and he ate and learned to love it because he fucked up and he took it like a man.
Yep, and that's good. That's a good thing instead of running away to the other promotion. And he's been there ever since, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm. You know, did I ever tell you that these guys, Kevin Nash and they're so strong that they would throw up the symbol right on TV? So I remember Shawn Michaels was on TV one time and he throws up the symbol and he just boom right there like on TV. HBK and the NWO, all these guys come out on Raw, and then Nash is like, right back at you, HBK. It does happen, man.
Yeah.
They cover NWO and all that on the Monday on WWE all the time. And there's a lot of great documentaries that you guys, anybody listening to, can just dive in if you see a topic or a night that sparks your interest. But the main thing that we're going to talk about now, Wes, is the Big Daddy. Bash at the Beach, 1996. The day Hulk Hogan shocked the world.
Yeah.
Jews, I'm sure Terry Dart was like, oh my God, you got to see this, because it was a huge night.
Yeah, and I remember I think I bought some wrestling cards, like, hockey card things, and there was in every pack you got a special poster card, like of the different shows and pay-per-views, and this one was I think I still have them somewhere downstairs. I should have thought about that. I will definitely check to see if I do still have it, and I'll send it in so we can post a picture of that.
There it is. Yep. Who's the third man? That was the whole storyline. Who was the third man?
Yeah, and how exciting must that have been at the time? Just as much as I'm not the biggest Hogan fan, the world changed, right, because of him jumping ship.
Well, he jumped ship in 94 and now it's 96, but he was always red and white. This would be the first time Hogan turned heel in his career. It was a huge risk.
Yeah.
And that night he came out, everyone says Bobby Heenan on the commentary, like, kind of ruined it. It's like, oh, he's the third man. Is he the third man? Like, giving it away, kind of. Like, but it's cool. Like, even look at this thing. These are the men who will attempt to stop them. Sting, Savage, and Lex Luger. Yeah. Like, how do you get more babyface than that in 96?
That's right.
You know what I mean? For WCW, those are three huge baby faces. And then you're going to bring out Hulk Hogan. Oh, here comes Hulk. He's going to save the day. Because he came out later in the match. He didn't start. And then, boom, leg drop to Macho Man. Too sweet, too sweet. These guys clear the ring. Garbage getting tossed in the ring. Bro, I'll never forget it. Mean Gene coming in, selling it. Garbage being tossed everywhere. This right here is the new world order of wrestling, brother. You can take your vitamins and your prayers and stick it, brother. I mean, Wes.
Yeah, I get it. It was massive. It was massive.
Well, would you consider the Hulk Hogan turn as big as the Andre turn? Because Andre was babyface his whole career until the Bobby Heenan turn.
Yeah, and I can't really say, Jesse, because I wasn't a fan at this time, the NWO at this time. But given that he was the All-American. See, Andre had a chance. Andre had a chance to be a bit of a heel because he was sort of like a foreigner, right?
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan was all America, right? No,
Eat your prayers, say your vitamins,
yeah, yeah,
waving the flag.
yeah, and the persona and the what he personified being a baby face was skyrocketed, right? It was just crazy huge. And for someone that big, I don't, there might not have been a bigger turn. There may not. I'm sure there was. Dusty maybe, but you can't even say anything about Flair because Flair, to a certain degree, right?
Yeah.
Depending on who was hot and who wasn't as a competition for him. But this was definitely had to have been one of the biggest, definitely top five.
A huge shocker too, because no one would have expected Hogan to turn.
No.
Especially coming to WCW with Jimmy Hart and everything in '94, and then Macho Man comes in, right? So I mean, it was huge, and people doubted it. And I got an article here. I found this booklet. It was kind of cool. It says Hogan's days are as a heel are numbered.
Okay.
Well, he was wrong, wasn't he?
It sure was.
It says here, I'll read it. Even though Hulk Hogan shocked the pro wrestling world, turning heel Sunday at Bash at the Beach, he will stay bad for only a year, at which time he will beg the fans for forgiveness and be a good guy again. Well, he was completely 100% wrong because that did not happen. The NWO, to this day, is considered one of the biggest factions of all time.
Where's that article from?
It came from Detroit.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have this 96 booklet here that our friend Dave Mullen sent to me from Winnipeg. And he said, if I do some digging, you'll notice some famous stuff. And this is why we're doing the episode today, because I found a lot of sweet stuff. Yeah. I mean, look at it. Heel, the better deal for Hulk. Another one.
Yeah.
Right? But like, man, it's so hard to even fathom just how it was cool to be a bad guy.
Yes.
Survey says one more for the bad guys. I don't know if you remember that. That's what Scott Hall used to do.
Okay.
Right? Let's do a little survey. Because it got so big that it turned into WCW versus NWO.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's either you're with us or you're against us.
And that's what I remember being in my recollections now, that it was either you're with us or you're against us. So and it's the whole thing. It's not just a couple of tag teams or one tag team and two single guys or something like that. It was the whole aspect of and it was no doubt about it, absolutely brilliant idea. Nothing can compare to it. A brilliant idea, and I will pat Bishop on the back because it was fantastic.
There's a lot of rumors that Sting was supposed to be the third man, but Sting says no, and Bischoff says I don't recall saying that. So again, the dirt sheets can be misleading sometimes.
Yes,
but right. So I just wanted to bring that up real quick. The NWO did take off for WCW. We're going to talk about the aftermath of all this. The NWO, by far one of the most popular tag teams of all time. I personally would put them up there with the Four Horsemen and DX. D-Generation X was the answer to NWO.
Yes.
Pretty much. You had to, right? Yeah. The fourth member of the NWO was Ted DiBiase. And then the fifth member of the NWO was the Giant. And then Six came in. And this is a cool little photo I have here. I showed you this before.
Oh, yeah.
My autograph photo here with the JSA, the authentic, to show that they're real.
Mm-hmm.
But there's the three boys there, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and Sean Waldman, aka X-Pac, and Six. This would be the launch of the Attitude Era, 96, I would say. Because come late Survivor Series of 97, you have the Screwjob in Montreal. You know what I mean? You have WrestleMania 14 coming up with Stone Cold beating Shawn Michaels and with Mike Tyson, which I'm sure was a huge thing everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Monday Night War, and the NWO helped Eric Bischoff win for the famous 83 weeks. For 83 weeks in a row, WCW beat the WWF. And back then that just didn't happen, because in the 80s Vince he bought everything, all the competition. In Tim Hornbaker's book in Death of the Territories, and he even states that Vince paid Los Angeles television $1,000 a week to play his show. He was wrestling. There was nowhere to go.
There was
And
no.
then WCW was the only place, and they ended up almost putting Vince out of business.
There was competition for quite some time, but the juggernaut that was the WWF just was non-stoppable. And again, let's talk about it away from wrestling. It's a business, and this guy knew what he was doing.
That's right.
He knew what he was doing, right?
And you got to think, look at the names that we brought up. Okay, so you have DX, right, for versus NWO. They did a huge moment at WrestleMania even for it. I'll have to send you a clip. It was Triple H versus Sting at WrestleMania, and DX came down to the ring, and then what happened? The three NWO guys come down. It was like WWE versus WWF. They had this big moment. If anybody hasn't checked that out, on after this video airs, we'll probably post that in the comments, because that was a big moment that it shows you just the significance of WWE versus WCW, as well as NWO and DX, who DX was Triple H, X-Pac, aka Sean Waltman, Shawn Michaels. There's three members of the Clique.
Yeah.
Right. Then you had Road Dogg and Billy Gunn in China. NWO, the three original members, plus you throw 6 in there. So, you have Hulk Hogan, the biggest star probably in pro wrestling history, in certain people's minds, I should say.
At the time.
At the time.
Yeah.
And then you have 2 other members of the Clique who recently put in their notice and jumped ship to the competitions per se, which is now history repeats itself, buddy. I mean, WWE's getting smacked in the water in the ratings with AEW, and AEW is giving Vince another run for his money. So it just shows you that history constantly repeats itself, and we proved it today with the exposing of the business, people jumping ship, and today in modern wrestling, promotion wars are still happening.
Yeah, and is Vince too old now to combat it? Is his business plan, is his thought process too old? Is Triple H, is he that well endowed with business sense to keep it going? It's a big question. It's a big question. I don't care anymore, but with the advent of the internet and the advent of these like AEW and NWA on YouTube, all these guys need is maybe either a break or a bit of money behind them to push them right in the same level. They're never going to have Madison Square Garden, so it does. But that's not the point. The internet is so huge right now that if you capture people on the internet, like we're trying to do with our podcast, right here, right now, you can do anything.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was fun to dive in about the NWO. It was 90s topic. We got a big show next week. We're going back to the 70s, everybody. So for everybody who likes the older stuff, we're stepping back from the 90s and the 2000s, and we're going back in history. I want to thank everybody right now for listening to us today and for listening to any of our previous episodes. We encourage you guys to check out all of our other episodes, because we do put our own spin on everything. We try to cover a lot of history topics. Not every topic is going to be for everybody, and we know that. Yeah. It's a very topical show, and we proved it with our sign that we brought to Greektown Wrestling.
And that sign just proves that even though probably 90% of the people that went to Greektown Wrestling were your age or around there, that there's something in the minds of these people that can take them back to when they were 4 or 5 years old watching TV, wrestling with their dad or their grandpa or whatever. That's been going on for decades and decades and decades. And it's history, it's wrestling, it's what we love and what obviously all those people love. It's so cool to see, and it proves the fact that it's not for everybody. This isn't, and neither is this, but we're willing to listen. We're willing to adapt. We're not going to change, but we're going to adapt so that we have our set topics that we'd like to talk about. But you know what? We're open, and we're open to doing it in our own way, our own slant.
That's right. And, you know, we get asked about audio and all that. We are a YouTube exclusive show. What we do, you have to see what we talk about to understand what we're talking about.
And it's a big deal because no one else is doing it.
I agree.
People can still listen to us if they so desire in their car or whatever. That's cool. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But to get the full, what we would like everybody to get out of our excuse me, our podcast is 10% off purple tea at Grand River Tea. So the site thing, and our vast collection, and showing off our vast collection and sharing it with everybody, keeping the history alive.
That's right. We want to thank everybody who entered the subscriber contest.
Yep.
We will be announcing the winner very soon. Next week's episode, we're going back to the 70s, 1971, St. Louis. We're going to talk about this time. So we're leaving WrestleMania, we're leaving Vince McMahon, we're going right to the heart and the home of NWA in St. Louis with a stacked card. It's pretty big. Names like Pat O'Connor, Harley Race, Baron Von Rosh. Like, it's pretty stacked, and we can't wait to talk about it. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be nice to go backwards a little bit. We're going to have some guests coming up, which is so exciting. We've got some really cool topics to talk with our guests about. I've been hot on the phones. My bat phone has been ringing off the wall on my super duper cool delivery van. And we've been talking to people. We've lining up many former wrestlers and people who are involved in the wrestling business to come on the podcast and help us out with a different spin on things. So it's really cool. We're really excited. Please, guys, if you have the time, you have the chance, sign up to YouTube and subscribe to us for us. It'll help us out a lot.
Yeah, I agree. Hit that subscribe button. Next week, we're going to the 70s. I want to thank Grand River Tea for being with us since day one and sponsoring the show. 10%, guys, NWCA on their website at checkout. I want to thank Johnny G, again, the man that puts us all together, the media man, the media maestro, the media magic. He's the man to see. If you guys need any podcast editing or whatever, we highly recommend him and his team.
Definitely.
May 1st, this probably won't even be out, but just in case it is out, I will be at New Frontier on May 1st. And if it's out after May 1st, then, well, guess what? I was at New Frontier, and we're going to talk about it next show.
It was really fun, right?
Right?
The shows in Winnipeg are heating up. The CWE is promoting in Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and parts of Alberta, I think. Shows coming up everywhere. I see my pal Kevin O'Leary. No.
Kevin O'Leary. What are you watching Dragon's Den?
Boston Bruiser, sorry. And he's been out in Saskatchewan wrestling, so we're going to give a shout out to him in the CWE. And you've got something about Kevin Nash?
Yeah, Kevin Nash is coming to Ontario, Mississauga, Ontario, May 15th at Destiny Wrestling. So again, if you're a big NWO fan, big time to, and if you liked our episode and you want to meet Kevin Nash, $100 VIP front row, Destiny Wrestling, Don Kolov Arena in Mississauga.
Nice.
We want to bring up our Facebook groups, the Ontario Wrestling Clippings of the Past, the Wildman Tribute page, and the National Wrestling Clipping Alliance page. Follow us on there. We post daily. We have other fans that are posting daily. Jamie Greer has become a big member and posting Windsor history as he works on his book. So shout out to him.
Greg Price also is posting out from the Mid-Atlantic territory for us. And we thank Greg a lot for that, sharing with us all of his awesome stuff that he has.
Yeah, so daily posts. We're on Twitter at official NWCA1. I told the promotion I was going to do this, so I want to bring this up. I forgot at the start of the show, Wes. This past weekend at an indie show, someone stole the promotion's title, and I want to give a shout out to Brantford for MCW Wrestling. If anybody was at the MCW Wrestling event this past weekend, it would have been the 24th on Saturday in Brantford, Ontario. If you know where this belt is, please get in touch with me. You can get in touch with at Ringside with Chops or the promoter. They just want their title back. Let's be serious. Give the promotion their championship back. And I told the promoter I would do that for him, so I held up my obligation because I really feel bad. Like, imagine starting a new promotion and then your belt gets stolen.
No, I can't. No.
Right? So, I mean, I feel bad. So,
and Brantford's such a great wrestling town. It's such a shame that someone does that. Ruins a chance of entertaining the people down the road if they can't produce a belt or they have to get a new one.
Exactly. So yeah, anyways, I wanted to bring that up. Again, you can find us on Facebook, YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel, share with your friends. Next week, St. Louis, 1971. It's going to be for you old people. No, I'm just joking. It's for the people who like to learn about the 70s. Wes, I got to ask though, did you have fun covering the NWO today?
It was
New World Order. Boom.
Wes is gone. No, leave me alone. I'm getting out of here. Oh. I show you my NWO shirt, but I'm shy.
This right here is the New World Order of Wrestling, brother. No batteries in them.
No batteries. Thank
no
God
batteries.
for that.
Well, Les, until next week, my friend. Thanks everybody again for listening. 3 Facebook groups, Twitter. Johnny, put up all the photos. What do you got to say? Anything before we cut it off here, buddy, or what?
Nope. I'm good. It was interesting, and I do remember some of this stuff watching some of the clips that you sent me, and I do appreciate it. I really like being reintroduced to stuff that I've completely forgotten about, and I give you thanks also, Jesse. Way to be.
Before we cut it off, I need to know.
Yeah.
What was your favorite version of NWO? Because there was NWO Wolfpack, the Latino World Order. And a fun fact, Lynn, no, BWO and ECW. I almost forgot. I had this written down. I forgot to put in the notes. BWO and ECW was a parody group, and Eric Bischoff tried to sue ECW, but got nowhere because it was a parody.
Okay.
Fun facts. Okay, guys, I'm done talking about the NWO.
Yes.
The New World Order. No way. Can't. This is my era.
I know.
Okay, guys, thanks again.
And thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Ciao for now.
Bye. I'm Jess.
And I'm Wes.
I'm Jess.
And I'm Wes.
We are the National Wrestling Clipping Alliance. It's the NWCA podcast.
I love doing this, and I love you in a, cool wrestling history kind of way.
Hey, easy, man.